Now here is a little tutorial how to create a high resolution image with Stable Diffusion and Stable Diffusion Assembly, and I built the assembly basically as a helper so I can start making much higher resolution images. Like I was doing this first in the interface, but that was a lot of back and forth with Photoshop, different sizes, and then trying to merge different parts of the image. So I create this Stable Diffusion Assembly, which is a sort of slicer where you can then work on each slice separately. That allows you to create incredibly high resolution images. First part is very easy. You create some sort of like 1000 by 800 image, and let's say I like the concept of this image, but I want to add much more details. My goal is to have, let's say, 3000 by 4000 pixels image. This is conceptually the image I like, and I'd like to just work on the details. Then I'll send it to Extras tab, which is for upscaling the image. I will upscale it, let's say 4 times. So from my 1100 pixels, it will be 4000 something pixels. Let's just generate it. And this is the same image, but upscaled 4 times. So let's open the Stable Diffusion Assembly. Now I can either drag and drop this image or open it in the menu Open. This image is in Extras of Stable Diffusion, and now I can go to Stable Diffusion Assembly. I can just drag and drop it. So I imported this large upscaled image into the Stable Diffusion Assembly. So this is my base image, and from this base image I can export slices, and these slices could be different sizes. The base would be 512 by 512, 1K or even 2K. So in my case, let's say I'm going for 1024 by 1024 slice, and I want to export this part. I want to work on this little middle part, which let's look at it. It's just pretty ugly. The first thing is to set the temporary slice folder. This is where those slices will be saved, and I can then click export and lock. So what happened was that this slice is exported in the folder. It says here exported slice to the folder. Now I can go to the folder by just simply going to the tools on open slice folder, and this opens my temporary folder, and this is the slice which was exported. So let's look at it. Right, so in Stable Diffusion I'm going to work in image to image, either image to image or in paint, most likely in the in paint part of image to image. Now I can either drag the slice here and it's right there, or I can actually paste the image here, because if you look here, the slice was not only saved here, but it also was sent to the clipboard. So if I'm in Stable Diffusion in image to image, and I kind of like click here, so this is selected, and press V, that content of the clipboard will be pasted here. If I send this image here, and now clicking on it and pressing Ctrl V, it's that. In my case, I want to go to inpaint, and let's say to inpaint this part, steampunk robot heads, metal ring. Wow. So instead of Stable Diffusion actually working with 4000 by 3000 image, it works only with 1000 by 1000 image, and that saves you a lot of time. Which has much more details now. I want these to be some sort of bolts, screw heads. No, and let's say I'm fine with this, whatever I made, and I want to put it back into my original image. This is where the other part goes here. That's called a quick import from image to image. If I go to my Stable Diffusion, I'm using stability matrix, so images, image to image, today's date, and sort by date. This is the image which was created. This is the last saved image. What I need is to have this folder right here in the quick import from image to image folder. So that's what I need to have there, which means anytime I click import, it will import the last image which is in this folder. So that would be this one. So if I click import, it imported the slice, it merged it with the original image, and also give me option to actually paint a mask in case I don't want to import some part which are ugly or didn't work well. Let's say I actually don't want to import these screws. I will use eraser, put a mask on the slice, so only this part will be imported. Now let's click apply merge. Let me look at the eyes. I want to work on these eyes. I can go really very close by just using 512 by 512. So let's do exactly the same thing. Export and lock, and in Stable Diffusion, Control V. I have these eyes. So I want to work on these little eyes. Robot eyes, blue light. So let's see what will happen. I'm going to the Stable Assembly and clicking import. It's nice, I don't have to block anything. Let's look at the image closer, right? So I merge this, I avoided the screws. Let me click apply merge. Let me actually work on these screws. So export and lock. And distress metal screws. And I create much better screws. Again, back to the assembly, click import and apply and merge. Again, let's look at the details. So we are getting much better. Now we can work on this part, for example. And let's use bigger image. Now Control V. Now here is the brilliance of using slices, is that I can use the whole area, the whole picture, but this way I can actually sort of boxed in the part of the image I want the Stable Diffusion to look at, instead of looking at the whole image, right? And this creates much better results when I have a small window. Pipes, robot, metal neck. Yeah, okay. I of course messed up, which is actually good, because when I'm using the whole picture, I have to use the size exactly like my slice size, which was 1024 by 1024. So I actually have to resize this to 1024 to 1024. Otherwise, I won't be able to merge this image back. So let's do it again. metallic cables. And yeah, let's see, I like this variant a little bit more. So now the same process, import, and it's there, apply, and I'm already like making the image better and better. Now let's see, there is also something called zoom slice, and that's 256 by 256, but zoomed to 512 by 512. So in this case, let me export this little piece and go to Stable Diffusion. See, so I exported, zoomed in this part as a 512 by 512 image. Let me put only masked, and I don't know what this could be, but some sort of, I don't know, let's griddle. Oh, let's see what we'll get. And yeah, let's say I'll go with this. Okay, just to speed it up. So again, import, and it size it down, import it. I will click apply merge, and let's look at the details. Now, for other parts, I don't need so many details, so I can use much larger parts, right? This is 2K by 2K. Export, diffusion, Control V, and basically sort of in paint only these parts. Yellow metal painted scratches. I don't know, whatever. That's fine. And I'll use like a lower denoising strength. And yeah. So let's just import it there. And again, everything is imported correctly. So this way I can actually build up details of an image in different resolutions. That's of course not all. For example, if I go back to this part, I can actually decide it, no, I want to have it red light there. So in order to make it red light, I have this icon here, which says paint. And this is where I can paint any color I want. So in this case, I can select red. These are the color of the image, but I want to use color, and there are many brushes, and these are for colorize this part of the image. I can maybe put like orange light in the middle. And well, that's what it is. Now go export and lock, and go back to Stable Diffusion. And now I want to have this one as a red light. And well, this is what it is. I can maybe try to make it more light. Now I could import from the latest image from my folder by date, but I can also put any previous one just by simply dragging it there. So in this case, this is my latest light, right? Put that one here, right? Cancel the merge. I can put this one. Again, I can just cancel the merge if I don't like it, and put the previous image, like I actually like this image the most, all right? So with the import, will import only the latest image, which is here, but I can drag any previous ones as well to the lock square. So here is my image. So you see the paint tool, which is very useful, but also there is a Liquify tool, which I find really useful. And Liquify tool pushes pixels around. So in this case, I want to create this light much bigger, right? So I can use different tools to reshape this into something I want. So so it was pretty much like the Liquify tool in Photoshop. Then I click apply, and again export and lock. Now paste, and let's do it. So anyway, I'll go with this. But to fix something like that, the Stable Diffusion needs much more surrounding areas. So in this case, I will use 2000 by 2000 slice, export and lock. Put it in the Stable Diffusion. Now select this part. Also set 2048 by 2048. And I want to inpaint the whole area. So it will look at the whole area here, but inpaint only this part. Okay, let me make it more. So the idea is that it will look how the image looks like and make this little circle much more fitting into the whole image. So with the size of the square, we can kind of regulate what Stable Diffusion see and what it doesn't. So let's go to Stable Diffusion Assembly and import it, right? It looks much better. Now, the part why we are saving these slices, even though I'm using Ctrl-V, Ctrl-C, is that actually I have a whole history of these saved slices, and I can go anytime back. The history is here, and when I click on each slice, it also remembers the position. So I can actually go back to select this part. So I can lock it with the lock, which means it's waiting to receive the slice, but I can put any of the previous ones I created with Stable Diffusion. So I can put basically stuff back like it was. Okay, cancel merge. So it kind of creates history. interesting part is this rotating slice, and that's mostly when you're creating an image that Stable Diffusion doesn't like to make, like a person lying down or tools which are usually upright. But for that we have this rotating slice, where you can position the slice, rotate it, export it, and it will be imported in the upright position, right? Okay, so like in this case, if we are going to inpaint this orientation, the Stable Diffusion will just fight us. If we'd like to inpaint mouth, that's not really a mouth which Stable Diffusion would really recognize. So instead of us inpainting this thing, we can use the rotating slice, and in this case we can make the face virtually upright in the Stable Diffusion to inpaint. The position is weird, but Stable Diffusion is not going to fight us on the face itself. Closed eyes, young woman. So this is much more natural position for Stable Diffusion to work with. And then I can import the slice. It will be imported in the correct position. So, and that's similarly also to position of hands, but sometimes hand position could be very difficult for Stable Diffusion to understand, and in that case you can help it with rotating.